and hopefully it will. So we will start by saying good morning, Tyler.
Good morning, everybody.
And Tyler, as you know, is with the Rocky Mountaineer, and he's going to be sharing a beautiful presentation with us. And take it away.
Okay, perfect. So hopefully my technical difficulties won't be an issue here. I'm going to try to just share the screen, and we'll move it over to slideshow mode. Hopefully you can all see our lovely smiling faces there. Thank you so much, Lisa, for having me on. As mentioned, my name is Tyler Harrison. I'm the Eastern Canada sales rep for Rocky Mountaineer. Super excited to be here today. Actually, my last day before vacation or staycation, I suppose, since we can't really go anywhere. But yeah, it's great to just be connecting with everybody, and obviously hope you're all staying safe, and happy holidays to everyone coming up. Today, we're just going to go through a little bit of everything, you know, starting with our 2021 season, what the outlook sort of is for that, some of the health and safety changes that we'll be implementing for our season on the train and off the train, and just an overview of what Rocky Mountaineer is. But really what I want to do is sort of give you the tools to start planning and get creative on putting together your own Rocky Mountaineer journey, because there are so many options. It can be a little bit overwhelming. I think there's over 80 different packages depending on how you sort of slice it. You can go from east to west, west to east, north to south. And really, there's so much to see and do off the train as well. And that's where, you know, the magic really sort of happens, where you can add on to your itinerary with hiking adventures, self-guided tours, day trips, going up the Banff Gondola. Really, the options are endless there. And then we can also just talk about some of what's new coming for the upcoming 2021 season, some of our promotions, new booking policies, and yes, that new U.S. route. I will touch on it there, because I think we do have some guests south of the border who are on the Zoom chat as well today. So, you know, that might be a great option for them for this upcoming year. So let's just jump right into it here. Coming April 2021, unfortunately, we sort of had to bypass our 2020 season. It was our 30th anniversary, or supposed to be our 30th anniversary for Rocky Mountaineer. So I don't know if technically 2021 will be our 30th year. If I think everybody's just sort of trying to forget 2020 in general, but we are slated to start operations at the end of April. I think it's April 27th is our opening day, and we'll be running through the spring, summer, and fall, all the way into early October. So it's sort of business as usual when it comes to the train operating schedule. Obviously, there are going to be some changes on board as well as off board when it comes to hotels, airport transfers, guided tours, sort of all those extra components. But yeah, you can definitely book with confidence knowing that we are 100% preparing to operate. Obviously, you know, following government guidelines provincially and federally, just to make sure that it is safe and secure for everyone when they are able to get on the train. But I do want to just touch on that a little bit. Obviously, health and safety and everything sort of surrounding the COVID-19 situation is sort of first and foremost on everyone's mind. And I just want to assure you, you know, future travelers, that it is also first and foremost on Rocky Mountaineer's agenda. It's something that we've been working on diligently for the past, I guess we're coming up to about 9 months now. Kind of crazy to say that, but it's an ever evolving situation. So there's not really any hard and fast rules that I can put out there saying that X, Y, and Z will be implemented by April when we are operating, just because it is a fluid situation. These things are sort of ever changing. Certainly looking at you know, optimizing the air filtration system, our sanitization of the trains, limiting sort of the flow of passengers and crew on the trains, really just optimizing all of those procedures when it comes to check-in, boarding, and every sort of component while you're on the train and off the train, health and safety when it comes to the food, beverage, culinary service is going to be under a higher scrutiny. So rather than, go through every single little thing, what I'd like to do, is just sort of direct you to where you can find that information. We have two really great pages on our website that sort of cover a lot of this information. One of them is a COVID landing page. You can see highlighted. So if you go to rockymountaineer.com and scroll to the very bottom, you'll see that top navy blue sort of section with all of the site maps for the website. And there is our COVID landing page that is constantly being refreshed and updated depending on what new information is sort of coming out. But there's also a preparing to go section. Sorry, I have to let my dog out here. Wanted in the room and now wants out. But the preparing to go section is actually a really handy guide just to allow you to keep track of everything that you might need to be doing ahead of time to get ready for your trip whenever travel, again, is possible. Of course, we are looking, excitedly to be hosting you on the train, but we do want to make sure that everyone is sort of prepared for what travel is going to look like in 2021. So again, this is a ever-evolving situation, but the best we can do right now is just sort of give you all of the information that you need going forward. So please absolutely check out our website and check out those two pages in particular, just to keep you updated on that sort of situation as it evolves. So let's move over to Rocky Mountaineer, what it is. I know luxury and train sometimes don't go together in the same sentence, especially not in Canada. So it's a little bit of a foreign concept, but just to give you an overview of where the train actually operates, if you're new to Rocky Mountaineer, haven't seen any of the videos, but this is just a great overview of where the train actually operates. So we are a daylight only luxury train service in the Pacific Northwest of Canada, in BC, Alberta, and now in the US, and we'll have slides on that later. But there you can sort of see the three different Canadian routes that are sort of the core of our product. The lower line, the red line, is first passage to the west, sort of connecting Vancouver to Lake Louise and Banff via an overnight stay in Kamloops. The blue line is journey through the clouds. You'll notice there is some overlap on that route there. But after Kamloops, it takes a northern jaunt up to Jasper, which is sort of that's lesser talked about, but sort of undiscovered jewel of northern Alberta. Really fun, great destination with a lot of sightseeing options. And then our northern passage, Rainforest to the Gold Rush, a little bit of a longer extended route. You'll notice there's an extra stop in there going from Vancouver, Whistler, Quesnel, and then to Jasper. And you'll notice that I'm sort of positioning everything as leaving from Vancouver. But as I mentioned before, you can do any of these routes in whatever direction you like. We can also talk about combining routes so that you can take one to one direction, maybe take a guided tour down the Columbia ice fields, the Athabasca glaciers, and then work your way back if you wanted to do a longer itinerary. But really, you can look at Vancouver, Jasper, Lake Louise, and Banff as your four main outposts as to where you'll sort of be setting up camp when it comes to building out your itinerary. Whistler, Quesnel, and Kamloops that you see in the white diamond locations, those are your intermediary points where you're staying in hotels. So the question we always get asked, and I'll just get it out of the way now, is where do you sleep on the train? Well, hopefully there's no sleeping on the train because it is just a daytime journey. So anywhere from about 6 to 8 hours a day is sort of your daily trip. And then we get you to your halfway point in Kamloops or Whistler or Quesnel. You stay at a nice luxury hotel, and then you start your journey the next day. So really, Vancouver, Jasper, Lake Louise, and Banff, those are the areas where you can really sort of build out your itinerary, adding on sightseeing, day trips. all of those sort of extra activities. So you're not able to do that in Whistler, Quesnel, or Kamloops, but you can absolutely double back on your own afterwards if you had a great time there, or maybe you have friends and family, some relatives that you want to visit out west. So for the most part, we'll just be talking about the Canadian core routes, but again, I will mention at the very end a new US route if you are interested in that as well, because we do have some great offers and incentives for that for the 2021 season. So now that you know sort of where the train operates and what we're doing, let's just get you familiarized with what it sort of looks like a day on board the Rocky Mountaineer, because whether you're traveling in the spring, summer, or fall to the north in Jasper or the south in Lake Louise and Banff, your experience on the train is going to be very, very similar. So as I mentioned, it's about an 8-hour journey, just depending on the direction that you're going and the season. But the great thing about the Rocky Mountaineer is we can go at our own pace. It's very leisurely, sort of around 30 to 35 miles per hour. But because the only stop that we have to make is at the end of the day to your next destination, we're not picking up passengers midway or anything like that. We don't have a schedule to keep. If there is the opportunity to sort of roll up and slow down by a stream or a river and have this really candid opportunity to film wildlife or take that perfect selfie, we absolutely can do that. But we do like to get the train rolling fairly early, usually about an 8 a.m. departure. So what that sort of means for you is a wake-up call at the hotel. You don't have to worry about carting your luggage to the train. We will take care of all of that for you. You actually leave it in the room. We have a team that carts it on a separate truck to your next destination. So really you only need with you maybe a day bag, a sweater, or a light change of jacket or something like that, just depending on the season that you're traveling in. But keep in mind, it's temperature controlled, climate controlled cars, so you're going to be very, very comfortable. We like to get rolling at about 8 a.m. in the morning, and then really after the coach transfers you to the station, you board the train, your job is done. You can sit back and relax, let our guest service hosts take care of absolutely everything. So what does that look like? Well, we have a celebratory toast at the beginning of the day. That one's a non-alcoholic one, but there is unlimited complimentary beverage service. So that's alcoholic, non-alcoholic throughout the day as well. And, this is a point that everybody wants to know about for sure. So you're going to have a good time on the train. Absolutely. A gourmet breakfast, a gourmet lunch, snacks throughout the day. So I promise you, you will not go hungry, but really leave it up to our hosts to take care of your every need. They will be handling your food and beverage, the culinary experience. Every train has its own culinary staff and kitchen that is preparing the meals fresh on the train. We'll talk about, how good can train food really be? Well, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. But the host will also just be taking you through the journey step by step and hosting and narrating and storytelling about the regions that you're going through. The really important thing about the Rocky Mountaineer and why it's sort of so important to the Canadian experience, it really tells the story of Canada coming together as a nation. These are some of the oldest train tracks dating back to the 1800s. And really, it was the final piece of the puzzle to join the West and the East and the Rocky Mountains, which were the large barrier on that. But keep in mind, while you're on the train, it is an unplugged experience. So there's no Wi-Fi, there's no TVs, the wilderness right outside your window and nature at every turn. That's sort of your Discovery Channel, on demand right there. But it's a very social, interactive experience. I'll show you some more pictures of sort of what the inside of the cars look like. Whether you're traveling as a solo guest or in a couple or maybe with a larger group, you'll get to know your train mates really well. And by the end of the 2-3 day journey, you'll probably have made some friends for life. So what it sort of looks like at the end of the day is getting to your next destination, whether that's Kamloops, Whistler, or Quesnel, probably around 5 to 6 p.m. Coach transfer you to your hotel. And then really the rest of the evening is up to you. You could have dinner at the hotel. If you're in downtown Banff or Kamloops, you could walk the strip, maybe find a nice bar to have a quick snack or a drink at, and then we start the whole thing up the next day. So just depending on the length of your train journey, it could be 2 days, could be 3 days, it could be longer. We have anything from 2 days all the way up to 13 days, and really the only sort of barrier to anything is your imagination. So let's just talk a little bit now about planning your trip, because there are so many different components. I do want to just break it down into the 4 main ones. So first step is choosing your rail route. So we'll go into that next, but you saw on the overhead map the 3 different routes that we have. Choose your rail service level. We have gold leaf and silver leaf. And again, we're going to talk about those differences. When do you want to travel? And really, this just comes down to a preference of what kind of travel you are. When do you want to be experiencing the west coast of Canada and the Rockies? And then customizing your package with all those extras and add-ons before or after your train journey. So there's a lot to sort of see and do, but let's jump right into it with the 3 main routes that I talked about. First, I want to talk about First Passage to the West. For those of you who maybe haven't been to the Rockies before, haven't experienced the Rocky Mountaineer, this is probably sort of that iconic experience that you sort of have in your mind. I would urge you to absolutely check out our YouTube page. It has some fantastic videos of the routes, just so you get in mind, the changes in the geography and topography and what the landscape sort of look like. But this is sort of that iconic passage that tells the story of Canada. These are the oldest train tracks in the West, dating back to the 1800s. And really, it's an engineering marvel that took, Canadians, Americans, Europeans to put it all together. But you will see such iconic spots as Craigalatchie and the Last Spike, going through actually the spiral tunnels as you head into the Rockies towards Lake Louise and Banff. It's just an unbelievable experience where you're sort of twisting and turning, not quite at roller coaster speeds or anything like that, but really until you've actually experienced it yourself, it's something that you can't quite describe in words, but it's such a change in landscape and scenery. Say you're starting in Vancouver at our downtown station there, working your way from that really mild, Pacific, temperate, almost tropical climate at times, through the Fraser Valley, from the ocean, these beautiful, lush green, scenic vistas, and then working your way up to Kamloops into that dry, arid Okanagan landscape. Obviously, maybe enjoying an Okanagan wine along the way, but then getting into the really rough sort of terrain into the heart of the Rockies on your second leg of the journey. It's just such a drastic change from day 1 to day 2, but it's also probably our most accessible route, just having Lake Louise and Banff be so close to Calgary. It makes your flights in and out very, very easy. So for a shorter journey, absolutely, First Passage to the West can be a great option. Now, you'll notice at the end of this leg of the journey, you see Lake Louise or Banff. So you have the option at staying at either of those and ending your train journey. So it's not like Lake Louise is one day and then Banff is another day. You decide where you want to spend time. And then absolutely, you can go back and forth with some of our guided tours after the fact, but this is just where you're going to want to sort of pick, what hotels you're going to be staying at and where you want to sort of spend that time after your train portion or before your train portion, depending on the direction that you're going. So now let's take a look at Journey Through the Clouds a little bit closer. You'll notice that first leg of the journey, Vancouver to Kamloops, exactly the same. But on day 2, we do take that northern jaunt up to Jasper. And this picture is actually a great example of one of the iconic scenes that you would see. That's Mount Robson. This is the highest peak in the Canadian Rockies, so you absolutely cannot miss it unless you decide to take a nap on the train. If you're lucky, you might get a clear shot and actually see the peak. It's very, very rare. As I mentioned, it's so high up. It has its own weather system, so it's often just shrouded in clouds and mist. Super majestic. This is sort of your Lord of the Rings big moment there. But going through that northern passage from Kamloops to Jasper, this is going into the untamed north. These are tracks that, you really aren't going to be able to experience this type of scenery, even with a self-drive option. It's just taking you to certain parts of the landscape that you can't access any other way. It's not a typical commuter route either, so it takes some twists and turns that you might not be expecting, but very lush, thick forest and greenery, but then nestled amongst these massive mountains, getting into the northern climate. If you're a wildlife lover, and that's part of the reason why you want to take this train journey, any destination that includes Jasper in part of their route is going to be something that you absolutely want to add into your itinerary. For the really train buffs, I would say, First Passage to the West kind of has a lot of different things going on there. But first, Journey Through the Clouds, great option for someone who's maybe already spent a lot of time at Lake Louise or Banff. But then again, working your way up to Jasper, you can absolutely do a day trip afterwards, work your way down on a coach tour through the Athabasca glaciers and then down to Lake Louise and Banff as well. So you really can combine it all. Now moving over to Rainforest to the Gold Rush. This is kind of my personal favorite. And for those of you who really want to sink your teeth into that luxury train journey, you'll notice that this is a slightly longer route. It's 3 days, 2.5 days, depending on how you kind of count it. It's actually a half-day journey between Vancouver and Whistler, leaving from our North Vancouver station. So again, starting in the just this amazing setting of the Pacific Ocean, Howe Sound, off the side of these cliffs, working your way up to Whistler, that, a destination that everyone knows. It's a full season sort of resort, but you'll actually get there sort of midday around 12 or 1 p.m. So you have a good amount of time to really sort of explore Whistler. Great hotels, great restaurants, great shopping, hiking at your fingertips. As you walk out the door, such a great connection to Indigenous culture up there as well. And there's some really great exhibits and tours that you can do up that way. So you'll definitely get your money's worth in Whistler. And then this is sort of where we depart, that rainforest type setting, moving up into the Gold Rush. Now, probably a lot of you are thinking to yourself, Quesnel, I've never really heard of this place. So what do we have in store? Well, Quesnel is a really old-time gold mining type town. Back in the 1800s, it was a pretty big deal. It was one of the most northern outposts before getting up into northern BC and into Alaska. They didn't strike it big with gold, so otherwise it would probably be a bigger name and you'd recognize it a little bit more today. But again, this is going into that untamed north of northern parts of British Columbia. Great, quaint, fun town to stop over for the mid part of your journey. And then you notice it even takes a more northern route to sort of hook around and get back to Jasper. So again, if you're into wildlife, if you're into untamed wilderness and nature and want to be surrounded in areas that are so remote that you just can't get to anywhere, forget about Wi-Fi. You might not even be getting cell phone signals in some of the areas that you're going up to on this route. Such a drastic change of seasons and scenery. Like the weather is going to be so much more pronounced leaving Vancouver, going up to the north in Quesnel, and then hooking your way over to Jasper. So for someone who really wants to sort of see it all and dive deep into the untamed, uncharted parts of BC and Alberta, this route could absolutely be for you. Now let's talk about how you're going to be enjoying your train journey, and that would either be on Silverleaf or Goldleaf. Both great options. There are some differences you'll notice in that bottom right corner. Just the physical differences between the Goldleaf train and the Silverleaf train. And really, it's the double-decker, the bi-level coach on the Goldleaf that really makes it stand out. Whereas Silverleaf is all on one level. But anyone, if you're wondering about accessibility issues, mobility issues, we can accommodate you on either of these service levels. In Goldleaf, there's a circular staircase that sort of joins the main dining lounge to the upper seating area, but there's also an elevated lift that can accommodate a wheelchair or someone with mobility issues. And then also on Goldleaf, you'll notice there is the larger expansive outdoor viewing platform, whereas on Silverleaf, it's a smaller breezeway. So let's just start with Silverleaf. Nothing to sneeze at whatsoever. A lot of our guests love Silverleaf because of the open and airy feel to it. It's about 8-foot ceilings. I'm only about 5'6" myself, so everything feels open and airy to me, but I was blown away standing on Silverleaf and just feeling how sort of expansive the seating area is. The chairs and the comfort level of Silverleaf is the exact same as you're going to find on Gold Leaf. They're the exact same. A ton of leg room, more than you'd find on like a business class flight. Super comfortable chairs with a charger so that you can charge your cell phone or tablet or anything like that. And the chairs actually do flip around, so you can have a very sort of interactive and social experience. But if you're someone who likes to just sit back and relax and have everything brought to you, then Silverleaf could absolutely be for you, because it is service at your seat. And when we're talking about the food, beverage, culinary sort of side of things, you might be wondering, okay, how good can food really be on a train? Well, I not going to lie to you, it absolutely will blow your expectations out of the water. I mean, this is real food, real cutlery, real plates, being prepared hot and fresh on the train. So you don't have to worry about that at all. It's not boxed lunches or microwave dinners or anything sort of like that. But Silverleaf is that sort of all-in-one experience. Very expansive glass windows, almost from floor to ceiling. So you get a tremendous amount of light, great for picture taking or videos. Now, moving over to Gold Leaf, it is gold for a reason, and you can see some of the differences here. So the glass dome ceilings, it's such a unique experience, lets in a tremendous amount of natural light. But again, remember, it is climate controlled. So in the summer, you're not going to be sweltering under the heat. And in the shoulder seasons, you're not going to be freezing. But there is a little bit more involved with Gold Leaf because you are moving back and forth. As you can see there, on the main level is the exclusive executive dining lounge. So for breakfast and lunch, you'd be in staggered groups moving back and forth for that, as well as the outdoor viewing platform that can probably accommodate up to 10 or 12 people at a time. So for those of you who really want to, get as close to nature as possible, this might be the perfect option for you. And I would also say, if you are a foodie, if you really want to dig into that culinary experience, then Gold Leaf, you have to absolutely do it. Again, what kind of food can you expect on the train? Well, it's always changing. Everything's very seasonal. It's very local to the regions that you're going to. So here's a sample of what you could be getting. Obviously in Vancouver and BC, it could be Pacific steelhead salmon. In Alberta, AAA grade beef, those beautiful Okanagan wines and everything in between. If you have an allergy or a dietary restriction, absolutely, we can accommodate that on board. Work with your travel advisor to let us know ahead of time, but even if it's something on the spot, we've been able to whip it up because it is being prepared hot and fresh on the train. So with Gold Leaf, you might get 4 or 5 options as to your meal. With Silverleaf, it's a smaller kitchen, so you might only have 3 options to choose from for your breakfast and lunch. And then, of course, snacks throughout the day as well. But we really feel like that Gold Leaf and Silverleaf top-notch service and level carries through over to our hotel experience as well. So now you're probably asking the question, can you mix and match? Can you do a Gold Leaf hotel and a Silverleaf train or vice versa? Yes, absolutely. This is where the customization comes into play. So you can do Silverleaf all the way, Gold Leaf all the way, or any sort of combination of the two, and you won't be disappointed with either. Here are just some of the amazing properties and brands that we work with. Silverleaf, this is your Sheratons, your Marriotts, 3.5 to sort of 4 stars, very reputable brands, very comfortable, great options in terms of locations as to where you could be situated. There's just a little bit more to choose from, but if you want to go for the gold, I can't blame you. I mean, these are your iconic Fairmont properties, Chateau Lake Louise, Chateau Jasper, the Rimrock in Banff. But some of these, I will caution, are a little bit more secluded, so they might not be right in downtown Banff. So if you're someone who really likes the hustle and bustle, you want to walk outside your door and be able to do stuff right away, Silverleaf might be a better option for that, but, I couldn't blame you for wanting to just hang out at the hotel, Chateau Lake Louise, pamper yourself with a spa day, some fine dining. What better way to sort of cap off your train journey? So again, I would urge you to work with your travel advisor just on putting all of this together, because availability absolutely is limited on some of these Gold Leaf properties, especially in the summer and the peak season when people like to travel. So now let's talk about everything that you can do off the train. We've already talked about the routes, what it's like on the train and where you're going, but we realize you're not going to travel to BC and Alberta, take the train for 2 or 3 days, and then fly back home. You're going to round this out into maybe a 5 or 6, 7, hey, maybe even a 2-week trip. If you have to leave your bubble, you might as well get your money's worth. So let's start with Banff, another Four Seasons resort that's hopping in the winter, hopping in the summer, but really all year round. There's so much to see and do. You've got your hot springs there. You've got a great downtown that's very vibrant, very walkable, but it's got shops, restaurants, hotels, sightseeing, guided tours. You could do the Banff gondola. You're so close to Banff and Yoho National Park. You could do a helicopter tour close to Calgary. You can see it and do it all in Banff. Gold Leaf, Silver Leaf, it doesn't matter. There's a little bit for everybody. Moving over to Lake Louise, this is taking the nature element of Banff and putting it into overdrive. So you're not going to have as much to do in terms of shopping or restaurant options, but hey, when you have things that are this good, you only need a couple. And if you wanted to just sit by the lake and have an adult beverage or go for a leisurely walk or a stroll, I mean, what better way to sort of cap off your journey or start your trip? So you're getting a little bit more remote, but Lake Louise, everybody knows about it. This is where, people from all over the world come just to see those beautiful emerald green and deep blue lakes that are so tranquil. But, Lake Louise and the surrounding areas, there's like so many lakes that sort of fit that mold. So whether you want to travel in peak season when everybody's going to be out and about, or maybe in the spring or fall when it's a little bit more relaxed, Lake Louise is going to be absolutely beautiful. I will caution though, with these Alberta destinations, Banff, Lake Louise, and Jasper, you're going to want to dress for the seasons because the weather can be a little bit more unpredictable. Now, what I love about Jasper is it sort of combines the outdoor elements of Lake Louise and the cool, fun little downtown of Banff and puts it all in one in this northern remote setting. So if you haven't traveled to the northern part of Alberta, maybe you've done the more southern passages before, this would be a great way to sort of rediscover the Rockies. But there's absolutely anything under the sun that you can see and do in terms of sightseeing. You can do a boat tour, kayaking, whitewater rafting, the gondola, skywalk, connecting it with a guided tour on one of the coach tours, or even doing the ice glacier. I mean, there's so much to see and do in Jasper. It's a little bit more seasonal, not quite as Four Seasons all year round as you'd find in Banff. So I would probably look at confining this a little bit more to the summer and the peak seasons. But again, just so much to see and do for the outdoor nature lover. You cannot go wrong with Jasper, and it will not disappoint. Now bringing us over to the West Coast in Vancouver, everybody knows it. I had the pleasure of living in Vancouver for about 3 years. My wife is from there, so she's actually the expert in the family on this destination. But I've never seen a city that sort of combines, a metropolitan lifestyle with outdoors and nature, just like all combined into one. There you see on the top slide, beautiful Capilano Suspension Bridge. I mean, you almost feel like you're in the Amazon rainforest with these big giant trees, California redwoods, that type of feel. But you feel like you're walking through the sky. This is just a short 10-15 minute ferry ride that you can do by public transit from the downtown harbor into North Vancouver. There you see beautiful Stanley Park in the bottom right, 10 times bigger than Central Park. So much to see and do there. Short walking distance from downtown. There's the seawall where you can go for a bike ride, just go for a walk, Granville Island. But then also you can do that by day, and then at night you have 5-star restaurants, hotels, the beaches, the ocean. It's all there. Maybe you want to do a day trip or stay over on the island, go to Victoria's beautiful upper island to Qualicum Beach, or even over to Tofino in the summer. It's such an amazing destination. If you're going to go all that way, you 1 or 2 days in Vancouver and on the West Coast is probably not going to be enough. But obviously really accessible just in terms of flights from Vancouver. And then on the eastern portion, you're probably going to look at flying in or out of Calgary. So really easy to sort of bookend that and put that together with your travel advisor. Okay, so the last question that everybody asks, when's the best time to travel on the Rocky Mountaineer? Well, I always say there's no bad time to travel except the winter, because we don't operate then, but really spring, summer, or fall, they each bring their unique flavor to what your Rocky Mountaineer journey journey is going to be. I'll start with the spring. In late April is when we get the train rolling. And this is really when you're going to see a dramatic shift in terms of weather and seasonality between the Rockies and Vancouver. Vancouver's probably about a month ahead in terms of when their spring sort of happens. So in the Rockies, in Lake Louise and Banff, you know, you still are getting that tail end of ski and snowboard season. So weather can be a little bit more fickle around then. You're definitely going to probably want to bring your parka or just some of your snow gear, because you never know what you're going to get if you're planning on spending a little bit of time there. But, you know, the thaw is coming from winter. Just there's this vibrant energy in the air. When you're moving closer towards Vancouver through the Fraser Valley, like flowers are going to be in bloom, wildlife is coming out. They're not quite in full season, so they're not as scared off by the train as they might be midsummer when they're like really in their hunting gathering sort of mode. So they might come right up to the train and you have amazing photo opportunities for sure. A little bit more leisurely sort of pace to your travel around this time, not as crowded with peak season international travelers. Who knows if we'll have international travelers this year at all. But the spring is a really great option just to like get a jump start. And, you know, you're the first person for the year to sort of like christen these destinations in the train. But having said that, summer is the most popular time to travel in Canada for a reason. Everything's on full display. Maybe combining your trip with an Alaskan cruise, this would be a great time to do that. The Calgary Stampede, another really popular thing. So just in terms of what's going to be available to you when you're off the train, summer kind of has it all, but I will caution, book early, book often, especially if you want to do a Gold Leaf journey, because these are the first dates to book up with hotels and rail availability. So, but if you're someone who likes the hustle and bustle and you want to be right in the thick of things, you cannot beat summer. Weather is going to be great no matter where you go. Now moving over to autumn, later months, September, early October, very popular time for Canadians to travel. Again, you're getting more of a quiet, leisurely pace, but the weather is still going to be great. On those northern routes, you're definitely going to start seeing the change in seasons. If you're someone who's really into the foliage, seeing the changing colors on the trees and things like that. At this point, wildlife, it's going to be pretty hit or miss just because they're getting ready for their hibernation season as well. But everything's still going to be available to you in terms of sightseeing. The destinations like Lake Louise, Banff, and Jasper, they're not quite into their winter mode yet with skiing and snowboarding. So you're still catching that tail end of summer, but at a more relaxed sort of pace. Now, I want to talk about all of those amazing add-ons that really, this is where you have the opportunity to make your Rocky Mountaineer journey one of a kind. And this is where you get bragging rights when you talk to your families and friends and say, yeah, well, I did this on Rocky Mountaineer. I did this on my journey. And there's so many different ways to do it. So I'll start at the top. If you're someone who really likes to, you know, have that adventurous spirit, there's absolutely anything and everything available to you. That could be the Banff Gondola, the Ice Explorer, literally going up a glacier on the Athabasca ice fields, the Columbia ice fields between Lake Louise and Jasper. You know, what's more Canadian and iconic than that? For those who are maybe a little bit more of a daredevil and you want to test your limits, you know, you could do a panoramic helicopter tour or the skywalk, going to those national parks like Banff and Yoho. You know, you see beautiful Victoria and Butchart Gardens there on Vancouver Island. Really, this is where you can piece together all those different things. If you're someone who doesn't maybe want to get their hands dirty quite so much, sightseeing tour is a great option for checking those things off your list, but in a little bit more of a curated, head over to an area, take a picture, get your selfie, and then move on. Have someone take care of all of the logistics for you. Sightseeing tours with Brewster is a great idea. And then we do see this third option, the self-drive exploration. Canadians more and more, you know, if you're in your own backyard, maybe if you've done the Rockies before and you want to do it at your own pace, take your time. Absolutely. You could definitely fly into Calgary, do your sightseeing in Banff and Lake Louise, maybe rent a car, drive up to Jasper, drop it off there, and then take the train to Vancouver or double back. Totally up to you. But again, you know, you can really sort of put it together have it 100% curated, or, you know, choose your own adventure along the way as well. As much or as little as you want to put into your Rocky Mountaineer journey, it's completely up to you. But take a look at some of these packages just so you can get your mind around how the pacing of your itinerary might work. So here's the first passage to the west at Leisure in the top left corner, if you can see that. It spends 1 day in Vancouver, 1 day in Kamloops while you're on the train, and then heading over to Banff, 2 nights there with all your sightseeing, 2 nights in Lake Louise, and then finishing off in Calgary. And again, you can do these in either direction. Now, if you're seeing one of these packages and saying to yourself, you know, everything's great on there, I'm a little bit afraid of heights, don't know if I want to do the helicopter tour, no problem at all. You can take that out of the tour. That difference will be refunded to you. Maybe you can spend it a day at the spa or a nice dinner or something like that. The Journey Through the Clouds Explorer and the Rainforest to the Gold Rush Explorer, those focus on Jasper a little bit more, but still you can see how they combine Lake Louise and Banff into everything as well. Now, if you're one of those people where I was going through this presentation and you said to yourself, yes, sign me up, absolutely, I want to do it all. Well, maybe a Grand Rail Circle journey is for you. This is when you combine more than one route. So really, you can start these at any point, whether that's in Lake Louise or Banff or Jasper or Vancouver. Work your way up north through Whistler, Quesnel to Jasper, down the Columbia Icefields to Lake Louise and Banff, spend some time there, and then take first passage to the west back to Vancouver. Really anything from 2 to 13 days we have available. So absolutely, you know, it's a little bit overwhelming at times with how many options you do have, but that's why I absolutely would urge you to work with your travel advisor on that, just putting it all together. Now, a couple things that I had mentioned previously, just about maybe combining with Alaskan cruise. If you're wondering, is that kind of weird to do the train, then do a cruise, or vice versa? No, and actually it's a very popular option to do an Alaska cruise. If you've been on any European river cruises, that's the sort of look and feel that you're going to experience on the train. Something like 65 or 70% of people who do the Rocky Mountaineer have done an Alaskan cruise or otherwise. So definitely this year, if you're thinking maybe you don't want to hit the high seas, do a land cruise in the Pacific Northwest, you know, Rocky Mountaineer could absolutely be for you. So now we're at the getting towards the end. This is the fun stuff. Everybody loves a good deal. So let's talk about what's available for 2021. Really happy to announce that we have extended our Mountain Bound promotion. This is a great option for those of you looking for a longer journey. So on packages of 8 days or more, you will get 3 added perks valued up to $800 per couple. But absolutely, if you're a solo traveler, you can do this as well. This is pre or post of your train component. We'll add in an extra hotel night, an extra airport transfer, and a dinner. So this has been extended to January 15th. So while you don't have to book today, I guess you have just about a month left on this one. And this is covered under our new flexible enhanced booking policy, which I'll talk about in a minute. But probably the one that you've all been hearing about, all been waiting for. Up until now, I could have said Rocky Mountaineer never really goes on sale, but it took a pandemic to sort of do this. But we are doing something very special for Canadian residents, and it's only available for the 2021 season, up to $1,400 in saving for a couple. Again, for a solo traveler, depending on the route that you choose, $500 to $700 per person. This is a promotion that just launched a couple weeks ago. It's going to be running until the end of February. But if you had maybe thought in the past that Rocky Mountaineer was just a little bit out of your price range, this is the time to do it. Bump up that bucket list or dream list. If you've been saying, I was going to do the Rocky Mountaineer in a few years, 2021 is the year for you. There's no restrictions. There's no blackout dates. It's available on all packages except for our rail only. So anything that's 3 nights or more, you will qualify for this. And I mean, who doesn't love a good deal? Silverleaf, gold leaf, you name it. All you have to do is sign up. It's fully covered under enhanced booking flexibility, which I mentioned a few times. So let's talk about exactly what our new booking policy is. So this is something that we instituted in the fall. There's a lot of terms and conditions to it, but the big 4 points to it are that there is flexibility in the title for a reason. So at the time of your booking, when you put your deposit down, you'll have a 60-day risk-free refundable window. So in that first 60 days, you can decide to cancel for any reason, get your money back, no harm, no foul. Beyond those initial 60 days, what we're also offering are 2 free date changes up to 60 days before your journey. So let's say you're traveling September 1st, 2021. 60 days before that, you decide, you know what, not comfortable with travel in September. You're able to move that back either to later in the season, or you could move it to 2022, even into 2023. We don't even have availability yet for those dates, but you can hold on to your package and then move it to a later date when you feel that you are up for travel again. And then we're also putting in a name change up to 30 days prior to travel. So the way that that works is, as long as one of the names on the booking stays the same, you'll be able to do a name change on the others. And yes, any of these promotions, the Mountain Bound or the Canadian Residence offer, are applicable under the enhanced flexibility. So if you move your dates, if you do a name change, yes, the promotion will transfer to those dates. Okay. For you U.S. Guests on this call here, or maybe Canadians who have done the Rocky Mountaineer, excited to explore the Wild Wild West. Coming August 2021, Rockies to the Red Rocks. So Rocky Mountaineer has now gone international. We're not just Canadian anymore. Just please note that all of the pricing for Rockies to the Red Rocks for our U.S. route is in U.S. dollars. So on the website, just be mindful of that. But what exactly is it? Where does it go? What is it going to look like? So it is a 2-day journey, starting, if you look onto the right of the screen, starting in Denver with your stopping point overnight in Glenwood Springs, which is a great outdoors destination, sort of similar to Banff or Harrison Hot Springs up in BC and Alberta, and then finishing off in Moab, Utah. Maybe you haven't heard of Moab, Utah, but you've definitely seen pictures of it. This is sort of the gateway to all those amazing national parks, Bryce Canyon, Zion National Park. And then really it's up to you how you want to finish off your journey. Again, you can do this in either direction, but I think probably most people will choose to do east to west. Finishing off in Salt Lake City with a coach tour, or all the way to Las Vegas. We have anything up to 9 days. You can do some sightseeing before going to like Colorado Springs as well. So there's so much to sort of see and do, but a really, really cool experience for those of you who have maybe done the Rocky Mountaineer, want to experience it again in a really unique region, really leaning into that sort of Southwest flair that you can only get in that part of the U.S. right there. So just to show you a little bit of the differences in terms of booking with Rockies to the Red Rocks and our Western Canada routes. Right now, there is a special promotion on. It's only a $25 US risk-free deposit for you to reserve your spot on the train starting in August 2021. It'll be running a shortened season until sort of mid to late October. For 2022, it might be a longer season, not too sure on that. And then by January 31st, a 20% deposit will be due. And then that's when the enhanced flexible booking policies kick in all the same. You have the 60-day refundable window, the 2 free date changes, as well as the name change 30 days before travel. So I know that's a lot of information to throw your way. So again, I would urge you to get in touch with Lisa, work with her on putting together your vacation, because there's just so many different ways that you can slice it. Thank you so much for letting me ramble on for the last 30, 40 minutes about this. You can tell I get excited about it. I'm ready to travel as well. Lisa, I'll turn it over to you. Thanks so much for having me on. And I guess if we have any questions, feel free to open it up. I'm rearing and ready to go. I've got my Starbucks coffee here, so I'm caffeinated and ready for anything you can throw at me.
Absolutely. I hope that anyone that has questions bounces them off you, Tyler, because that just brought back so many fond memories. I did the Rainforest Gold Rush from Calgary, made my way out west to Vancouver in July of 2016. Seems like a lifetime ago. It's time to go again. And I can hardly wait to return. I want to go again. It was beyond spectacular. And I could see how it would match up well with an Alaskan cruise out of Vancouver, pre or post.
The only thing, and you're the cruise expert, so you know this better than anyone. All I would mention about that is if you are planning on combining a cruise portion, just make sure that you don't skimp on your cruise, because sometimes we find people do the Rocky Mountaineer and then they go on a cruise and they feel like the service levels didn't quite match up. So you're definitely going to want to go high class all the way on that. But I mean, the amazing thing about a journey like this is, like you said, even if you've done it a few years ago, doing it again, it's nature, right? It's ever changing. So you're never going to have the same experience, even if you do the same route over and over again. So I'm excited myself. I want to get on the train too.
Okay, and then also mixing it up. If you wanted to extend your stay, let's say you're in, you just want to spend more time in Banff or more time at Lake Louise. Is it easier to do when you're on the bus portion before you get to Jasper? And can you do it while you're on the train portion? I've had people query about that.
Yeah. So those sort of 2 to 3 day train portions, those are locked in. So really there's no flexibility in terms of what your itinerary is going to look like. If we're, just looking at first passage to the west, either direction, it's going to be, Vancouver for one night, the Kamloops for one night, and then Lake Louise and Banff for one night. So really, just depending on the direction that you're doing it, all of that sightseeing and the ability to sort of extend your trip, that's going to happen before or after your train journey. I would probably say, and again, there's no right or wrong answer to this. It just depends on how you want to structure your journey. I would say more people tend to do their sightseeing things before the train and sort of finish off with the train as sort of that like relax and leisure. Go sort of tire yourself out with all of those day trips and going to the national parks and sort of things like that. But again, that's totally your call.
Yeah, and also I know a lot of people, it was touched on from personal experience. I've had clients that have booked the Gold Leaf, but because some of the Gold Leaf hotels were in these spectacular locations, but a little off the beaten path for walking around, which was what they wanted to do. They just wanted to explore. They switched up some of the hotels and stayed in some of the Silverleaf hotels so that they were right in town.
Yeah, and that's a great point. While you're doing your train portion, you might want to do Gold Leaf all the way, but after you've sort of finished that and you're really sort of diving into those destinations, you may want to opt for a Silverleaf hotel, just one, maybe a little bit lighter on your budget after you've been off the train, but also a perfect example is just if you really want to have everything sort of available to you, those Silverleaf hotels are just a little bit better in terms of location and being able to walkability and that sort of thing, especially in like Lake Louise, Banff, and Jasper.
Yes.
You're going to notice like those Gold Leaf hotels, they can be a little bit more secluded. So again, depending on what you want to sort of do after your train component, I wouldn't blame anybody for just wanting to stay at a Fairmont hotel for a few days and not really do anything other than that, though.
Yes, no, yeah, Lake Louise was beautiful. And as for the helicopter, don't pass on it, Tyler. It was spectacular.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know it's not for everyone. I have a little bit of a thing about heights myself, but I think next time I might give that one a go. I mean, there's really no better way to sort of experience all, you see a lot when you're on the train, you see a lot when you're going for a hike or going up the mountain, but I mean, there's certain things, you're not quite getting it when you're in a plane, just sort of doing a flyover, and the helicopter is just gives you the opportunity to go to get these certain views that you can't get elsewhere. So well, absolutely.
Sure. A little hint is you don't look down, you look straight out. You take in all the scenery looking straight out if you have any concerns with height. And it
Right.
was quite comfortable. I really enjoyed it. And I just want to let everyone know that, yes, I'm recording this. I'm going to be putting it onto YouTube. It should be available tomorrow morning. I will email out the link to everyone. And Tyler, you went over the specials. And I should add that if you're booking with someone like myself, who's with Expedia Cruise Ship Centers, no, we changed our name. We're now Expedia Cruises. And we are a full service agency, of course. And we have a limited time promotion right now that those that are booking, we are offering a leather Rocky Mountain tote bag.
Very classy, so you can travel in style. I've seen them myself. They look great. So good for your passports and all your sort of travel needs. Yeah, so that has been extended now to December 23rd. So another week left on that. But yeah, we're throwing everything at the wall, getting people excited about travel. So you definitely don't want to pass up these offers for sure.
Okay, and we have a question from Suzanne. If the trip ends or begins in Banff, do we fly to, from? Where do we fly to and from? I'll speak for myself. I flew into Calgary. Any other options if you're starting in Banff?
No, that would be the one that I would do. Yeah, probably 45 minutes to an hour for a coach transfer, and yeah, some great stuff to sort of see and do in Calgary as well. Obviously, you know, comparable to Vancouver in terms of like big city, but yeah, that would be my my option for you as well, flying into Calgary.
And I'd like
super
to add
accessible,
that,
lots of routes.
though it's a short transfer, if you're not taking the Rocky Mountaineer package that originates in Calgary, if you do, that can be, you're starting in Calgary, I believe, then we made our way to Banff, and then from Banff, we made our way to Jasper. So there were 2 full days. What you would not be taking in is the helicopter, the Columbia ice fields, which were spectacular, and the gondola in Banff. We did the gondola, and those were 2 full days. Yes, it was coach transit at that point, but again, full porterage. We weren't worrying about our bags. They showed up in the room, and they were and so on. And they were 2 full days. But if for whatever reason you have less time and you just want to start or finish in Banff, it is a short commute from Jasper back to Calgary.
Yep, absolutely.
Which is, for all the American guests, is really accessible from gateways in the US. Okay, just see if there's any other questions. If not, I want to thank you so much for joining us, Tyler. I wish everyone happy holidays, and I will be sending this out to everyone by way of a YouTube link. And with that, I'll say thank you, and I want to thank everyone for joining in. Everyone have a lovely weekend.
Happy holidays. Stay safe.
Yes.
We'll see you on the train next year.
Okay. I want to be there. Do take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining in. Bye-bye.